The Bandit. A knight rode through the sunlit forest with his trusty squire and solid steed. He sought adventure everywhere, but encountered no misdeeds. Then a rustle in the thorny brush, could it be his enemy's flag? Yet when he drew his heavy sword, his foe was just a stag. Eventually he took his rest beside a gentle misted stream. The tall reeds swayed as if to say, collapse your eager eyes and dream. The squire too fell in soft repose like a child without a worldly care. Yet as the blissful heroes napped, indeed 2 eyes were watching there. A keen beggar, both small and quick, made fast work of purse and clutch, snatching away their bread and flask without so much as a glancing touch. When the sun was somewhat lower sunk, the glint off heavy shield struck their eyes. Upright the knight sprung all at arms, only to a groggy squire's surprise. Such a wave of amber rage swept across the knight's grimace, the sky thickened up as overhead gathered a darkened nimbus. Like a fan to flame, a giggle sprung from somewhere on a hidden limb. The knight craned his neck and cried, "Squire, tell me, can you see him?" The shaded crook let rain the wine to dampen boiling rage below. The knight let out a reedy scream, until his tongue could tell what flowed. A dark fury rose and filled his heart as he raised up his engraved steel. Wild hacks against the guiltless tree left scattered cuts for all his zeal. "Climb up now, servant, shake him loose," he growled toward his dumbstruck ward. But the boy found only branches. "Then go higher." Yes, my lord." "Do you suppose a nymph?" asked the squire. "Perhaps the wood is full of charms." Every fiend their minds could conjure mocked them with chimeric harms. Now the dark was settling faster, and all signs of life were silenced. The squire was perched and shivering as the knight's eyes drained of violence. The last ray of sun touched a clasp. "I spy our purse, the search has ended." The squire inched out until, in hand, tied pouch to belt and descended. Still the knight did not feel justice had been meted to the bandit, and the giggle was heard once more. "Come down, face me, I demand it." The adversary did not speak, nor meet the brave knight's threatening, but merely flapped his arms to show he'd soon be off on feathered wing. "It was a magpie, sire," the squire laughed, but the knight was more demurred, to be so taunted and undone by such a clever little bird.
Diary of a Chihuahua. Dear Diary, I heard a joke recently that Chihuahuas are 50% hate and 50% tremble. Well, it's hard not to tremble when you're freezing your tushy off in a snowbank while you try to do your business. I had a moment of glory today, though. A squirrel was coming for the birdseed my owner puts out for the finches. I mustered my most ferocious bark and chased him straight up a tree. Hey you, that stuff's for the songbirds," I shouted over and over. You should have seen that squirrel scramble. My bark was so fierce, even the neighbor's Rottweiler shook with fear. But with all I do to help out around here, the cat's the one who gets to go in that fancy box full of tiny pebbles in the bathroom. I tried to use it once. It seemed like the perfect size for me, except I ended up making a big mess when I scratched most of the pebbles out with my backward kicking once I was done. My owner was not impressed and stuck me outside again. I just don't get it. The cat doesn't give my owner kisses like I do, and he's terrible at fetch. Maybe I'll bring my owner a nice sock or a bone to show my love. I bet that'll change her mind. It's just a usual day at the office. I'm trying to sleep off whatever it was that hit me last night, a locomotive by the feel of it. And somebody has the nerve to knock on the door. I look up, and this turkey walks in, a real Tom, and he's a handsome gobbler too. But he's not happy. "What's the matter, Tweetheart?" I tease. Then he really starts to gobble. Oh boy. That's when I remember. It's Thanksgiving. "Sorry, Butterball, I wasn't thinking. Not your favorite day of the year, huh?" He gives me a shake of the head, and I reach over to give him a playful pat on the waddle. "Here's an idea. I'll stop flapping my lips, and you and me, we'll get out of here. You know, migrate south for the winter. How's that sound?" He nods, and I think I see his beak twisting up into a little smile. "That's better," I say. I grab my coat and my piece so we can scram. "You know, you really are quite the dish," I say, and his eyes get as big as pie tins like I'm gonna end it all right there. "Relax, my little chickadee," I say. I just turned vegetarian. Dear Diary, I heard a joke recently that Chihuahuas are 50% hate and 50% tremble. Well, It's hard not to tremble when you're freezing your tushy off in a snowbank while you try to do your business. I had a moment of glory today, though. A squirrel was coming for the birdseed my owner puts out for the finches. I mustered my most ferocious bark and chased him straight up a tree. Hey you! Hey you! That stuff's for the songbirds, I shouted over and over. You should have seen that squirrel scramble. My bark was so fierce, even the neighbor's Rottweiler shook with fear. But with all I do to help out around here, the cat's the one who gets to go in that fancy box full of tiny pebbles in the bathroom. I tried to use it once. It seemed like the perfect size for me, except I ended up making a big mess when I scratched most of the pebbles out with my backward kicking once I was done. My owner was not impressed and stuck me outside again. I just don't get it. The cat doesn't give my owner kisses like I do, and he's terrible at fetch. Maybe I'll bring my owner a nice sock or a bone to show my love. I bet that'll change her mind. Oh, Kepler 22b has gotten so dull, the Martian cried, throwing his long green arms up in the air. What I really need is a vacation. With a wave of his spindly fingers, he brought up a hologram of the universe. Let's see. There's that black hole everyone's talking about, but I never trust anything that only has one photo. Maybe Orion's belt? Nah, too crowded this time of year. Oh wow, what's this place? He said. His bulbous eyes widened as he zoomed in on a small part of the Milky Way. Rainforests? Blue oceans, mountains, deserts, and penguins? This Earth place looks amazing. But wait, he groaned. It only has one star. He had been purchased on clearance the day after last Thanksgiving, and for 12 long months, he'd seen other non-perishables go. Why is corn an acceptable side all year long when delicious cranberry sauce is good only one day of the year? He couldn't figure it out, but that didn't matter now. All year I've waited to fulfill my destiny, thought the cranberry sauce, and finally, Thanksgiving is here. The dinner bell rang, and footsteps were approaching. Through the door, he heard a voice ask, "Hey, hon, where's the cranberry sauce?" And then someone responded, "Oh, don't worry about it. I made it from scratch this year." No, thought the cranberry sauce. I cannot survive another year in here. I never expire, but still. Just then, the pantry door creaked open. The voice replied, "Homemade? That's a little fancy for me. I like the canned stuff." Hooray! The light flicked on. A hand reached for the cranberry sauce and picked him up off the shelf. Now it's my time to shine. And with an emphatic kerplop onto a plate, he did. If there was one thing the father was proud of, it was his recipe for spaghetti bolognese. So when the family set out on their first vacation in their new RV, the recipe came along with them. As the mother got behind the wheel, the father fired up the RV stove to christen the trip with his favorite meal. Halfway through simmering the sauce, a chubby raccoon ambled onto the road right in front of the RV. The kids screamed and the mother swerved sharply, sending the famous bolognese The family dog leapt up to catch bits of beef and carrots careening through the air. When they came to a stop, the father plucked a long spaghetti noodle from his hair and said, "Well, I guess that was a recipe for disaster."